What do you mean by
So I'm really pleased to be here today to be a part of the Tomtom Founders Festival. This is really exciting, and I love talking about energy. This is a talk about energy ethics, and I just want to say up front, I'm not here to wag fingers or point fingers. The energy industry does amazing things to keep the lights on, and I've benefited from fossil fuels, all my life, and I acknowledge that. But the current system is not healthy for our soils or air or water or bodies. And now that we can do things better, I think we should. And that's what I want to talk about. So we're going to start by talking about the clean energy industry. This is the utility scale, large scale wind and solar facilities. And then we're going to talk about products that you and I can use that also move us towards cleaner energy. And I'm going to talk about the new energy ethic and why that matters. So let's jump right in here. The clean energy industry globally is almost $200 billion last year of plant and equipment investments in wind and solar. Really, it's because solar and wind energy are a great idea whose time has come. And these industries are growing extremely fast because the costs have been coming down so quickly. So let's take a quick look at solar. The cost for solar photovoltaic modules that you would put on your roof or that you might put in a large-scale installation has been coming down dramatically over the years. And as a result, we've seen the installation of these panels go through the roof. It's really quite something to see how quickly the industry has grown. This is actually only through 2012. If I add last year, it actually does go off the charts, right? This is exponential growth. We're looking at $14 billion of investment in solar last year in this country. And the story is the same for wind, very similar. This is actually like a 30-year view of what's happened to the cost of industrial scale wind facilities over time, and likewise, the growth of the industry really took off when we hit that tipping point, when wind energy really became competitive with conventional sources of fuel. So right now, I think it's important to help people understand wind energy powers about 15.5 million homes in this country today, the equivalent of. And in solar, you've got about an additional 2 million, and that's growing really fast. So 17 million households, that's considerable amount of power. And so when we looked at the two of them side by side and asked, what's similar about these sources of energy? What's so special about them? And I think what's interesting is that these technologies are both modular and scalable. And so what that means is that they're built in factories, and you benefit from the economies of scale. As you produce more and more of them, you get efficiencies in the supply chain, and the technologies themselves improve. And therefore, they're the only sources of energy that get cheaper as you build more. I think that's pretty phenomenal, right? The more you build, the cheaper these become over time. And it really is demonstrated there. So we have a really bright future with clean energy, and I think it's important for us all to embrace that. You can see here that in the United States right now we get about 5% of our energy, actual energy produced from wind power. If you look though in the middle of the country where it's actually the windiest and therefore the cheapest to produce wind power, you can see certain states are all the way up in the 20% range of market penetration. So literally 20% of the energy in these states is produced by wind power. And just to hammer the point home, because you can't say it enough, this is really cheap power, bulk, wholesale power being delivered to the grid in vast quantities from large facilities. And it's about 3 cents a kilowatt hour being pumped into the system in a place like Oklahoma. So if you think for a moment about another aspect of these fuels, you don't have any fuel at all, right? The generator is billions of miles away. I don't know. The sun is the generator, and these things, these devices, they just harvest energy that's being produced elsewhere, and so very little impact, but also no fuel. So the fuel that we're using is being delivered to the site for free, no pipelines, right? The fuel that we're using doesn't change in price, and so Apex can offer our customers 20-year fixed pricing, and that's really important. If you're a big corporation and you use a lot of energy, like a data center, think about Google and all those various large data centers. More and more data is being transferred all the time, and the operating costs of these high-tech companies, a lot of it is power now, just electricity. Clean power can offer them clean, but also fixed price for 20 years. And so they're getting a hedge against one of the biggest expenses in their business for 20 years. And it's a hedge against inflation, and it's very, very popular. So people like Warren Buffett are very large investors in clean energy. In fact, the largest investor among utilities is Mid-American Energy, a subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. And they are big in wind and big in solar, number one in both. So that's kind of covering what's going on the industry side. It should give us all comfort that the industry is moving fast into these technologies, and the air is getting cleaner. Let's talk for a minute about what I'm generally calling clean energy appliances, things that we can engage with. The first is solar power. And this is an amazing product, right? The solar panel. That's all I do. There are no moving parts. They sit there, deliver power, as long as the sun's out. They last 20, 30 years. It's really a miraculous product, and we should be thrilled that it's really gotten so cheap. So the reason it's so popular with us, just like on the utility scale side, is you're just going to pay less for energy now. You're going to lower your energy bills by adding solar panels like people have done here on this house. And just to give some examples, 10 years ago, it would have cost maybe around $40,000 to put a system like this in place. Today, about $14,000, and there are companies that will lease the system to you for zero money up front. And so you're locking in a known cost also for years forward, 3-year contract, and they put the system up, they own it. They're going to maintain it for you. Really, once those things go on your roof, your utility bill starts going down. No money up front. So very, very popular. President Obama said in the State of the Union address, every 4 minutes, another American home or business goes solar. Really growing fast in places like the desert Southwest, California, New Mexico, Texas, Arizona. And you can see, here's the graph for California. I love this. And you can see that the leasing program on its own, not utility scale stuff, but just homeowner leasing, is now growing at a rate, or they're installing these things at a rate of $100 million per month. So that's over $1 billion a year, right? Really exciting. John Wellinghoff, who's the former chairman of our Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, he said, solar is growing so fast it's going to take over everything. And that can't happen soon enough as far as I'm concerned. sort of more evidence here, more proof points. Solar City is a publicly traded stock or publicly traded company whose stock has been growing really extremely fast. Of course, I did this graph about 2 weeks ago. Apparently, these stocks took a dive recently, but that's a good buying opportunity. I don't own the stock, but you can see these installation companies. They have a model that's working. Their business is growing, and that's a great thing. SunEdison is another one. SunEdison is both active in the residential scale, and this is the first picture you've seen here of this solar. You know, when it's utility scale solar, it looks often just like that in a desert. You know, 20, 50 acres covered by solar panels. So we're going to shift gears for a second now and go from solar panels on your house to how do you get around. Well, what if your car was electrified? What about electric cars? Why do most of the big brands have electric cars coming onto the market? Cost, once again. We keep hammering this. The cost of these products has come down and down and down. Wind, solar, now electric cars. Electricity is 4 times cheaper than gasoline to propel your car. Electricity is 4 times cheaper. So those savings add up quickly. This car, the EPA will tell you, you get a little sticker when you go to buy one. I know you're going to go buy one right after this presentation. $9,100 over 5 years you'll save on fuel, let's say. And they also have emissions, 75% lower emissions. So obviously an electric car is pulling electricity from somewhere, it's getting it from the grid, and there are emissions associated with the grid. But when you do the math, and the Union of Concerned Scientists have, and many other studies point to a net gain in cleanliness if you're going to move from gasoline to electric cars. So that's very exciting. And who's going to really love this? This is a lot of power. If everybody switched to electric cars, who's going to love it is the electric utilities, right? So I believe you're going to see, why people are really going to be embracing this in the utility side, as they see on the one hand, solar panels are maybe taking some of their business. On the other hand, they're going to be able to gain a whole new segment of our energy economy. But maybe what's best, and I drive an electric car, and I love this, is that I got to quit my part-time job. Right? It's just so great. Every night, it's so convenient. I just go home, wake up in the morning, always got a full battery when I wake up. And so I don't have to stop in the middle of the day because I left the house half empty or something. This is just a great attribute of electric cars, I think, that people don't talk about as much. A lot of discussion about range, but this is a real convenience. So I think electric cars are cleaner, faster, smoother, quieter. You're going to save on fuel cost, and they cost less to operate. So these cars, the motors are about the size of a watermelon. It's really phenomenal. So you have batteries and a watermelon in your car, and then there's room for a lot more. There's room for a whole lot more. In a car like this is the Tesla Model S. Tesla's really the company that moved